Hello, my name is Sasha Keogh. I'm an indie author. I write urban fantasy. I'm currently transitioning from being a hobbyist to a career author. This is the author journey. Before we get started, I really wanted to touch base with everyone. I hope your author journeys are going excellently. It's hard work, but keep at it. At the moment, I'm having one of my works beta read for really the first time someone's actually reading it to critique it, and it's an experience, an interesting one. It's tough to receive that criticism, but what I see is like, oh, okay, so like, what do you like? Like, how can I make this better for you? And writing can be such a generous art where it's able to be shifted and morphed, and it's a better story if people enjoy it more. I'm excited to see how I can get my story into shape. If you would like to beta read some of my stories, you can go to sashakeogh.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. There's also an option to beta read once you sign up for the newsletter, or just email me directly, sasha@sashakeogh.com. Today we're going to be talking about 5 slump busters, aka getting out of your writing rut. Tip number 1, read. Read a book. Read 5 books. Read in your genre. Read out of your genre. Read. You are a walking, talking dictionary filled only with the words and contexts and phrases that you currently know. So to get more in there so that you can mix up your writing a little bit, you've got to absorb other words, other worlds, other authors. Ella Barnard has a fantastic interview with an author named Sasha Black. I'm not recommending her because she's also a Sasha. I'm just saying that maybe all Sashas are great. I don't know. Sasha Fierce? Just saying. But there's an interview that Ella Barnard has where she talks about reading critically, where you're not only reading the story to absorb it or for entertainment, but you are looking for phrases, and when they hit you, you're like, oh, like I felt something. Why did I feel that way? So definitely look up that interview and hear Sasha Black talk about how she does that. I didn't realize that that's exactly what I was doing as a reader. I would literally dissect authors' books who I loved. And I'm like, why does this make me feel the way it does? I did that with Stephen King once when I was like in high school, where I'm like, at what point does this become the scary shit that's keeping me up at night? And reading that critically, not only are you reading it for the entertainment, but you're also reading it in a professional way. How can I emulate this? So when you're getting back to your own writing, you've got a broader sense of things, and also your mind has just been in other people's stories and other people's worlds. And so when you get back to yours, you have a little bit of a fresher mind. It's like going for a walk when you're having a fight with somebody. You're like, you come back and you're like, okay, I've seen things, I've been places, now we can talk. Speaking of going for a walk, tip number 2, get out of the house. It's not just going for a walk or enjoying the peace and loveliness of nature that is outside. It's getting out in the world. It's interacting with people, having conversations. It's enjoying your life, because that's where the best writing comes from. It comes from situations that are relatable. You can't write dialogue if you never talk to anyone. You can't talk about relationships if you're not involved in relationships. Not just romantic relationships, but people relationships. Or if you just fucking hate people. Here's tip number 3, watch a TV show. I would really recommend maybe watching something that's kind of related to what you're working on, so you're not just like mindlessly falling into Netflix binge watching. Have you ever been watching something as an author and you're thinking like, oh, that's kind of like this in my story or that in my story? If you've been really entrenched in something you're writing before, you might know what I'm talking about. Watching a TV show can kind of be like that. So while you're getting this experience of, one, living vicariously through others, since you're not out in the world interacting with folks, watch them interact with folks. And if you're not watching something that's in your genre, watch something that's related to the issue that you're having writing your book. If you're having trouble with dialogue, watch comedies, because it's all about that verbal back and forth. If you're having problems with fight scenes, watch action movies. If you are having problems with tension, watch a murder mystery and feel the tension rise and take note of that. Watch it critically. Again, don't fall into a black hole of, are you still watching? But do take note of the effect that it has on you. If a certain verbal back and forth makes you smile, if a certain aspect of a murder mystery makes you gasp, think about that and then carry it back to your own writing. And maybe you've really enjoyed what you've read by another author, or the show that you've watched, but you think you might do it a little differently in a way that might make it a little better. And that brings us to tip number 4, which is write some fan fiction. Now, I don't know what the current consensus on fan fiction is right now. I know that, years ago, I even thought, I was like, fan fiction is a little dorky because it's these people who are so involved in this universe that they're putting relationships together and writing about it as if it were real. And then I had to realize none of it's real. Your story isn't any less real than the story that you're basing it off of. I've even watched movies where there was something that was just a little off. It was almost a really good movie, and I was like, if they did this, and maybe there's a little romance here, and then I realized I was writing fan fiction, and I loved it. It was great, and it was a break from what I would normally write for myself because the world was there, the characters were there, their motivations and everything was already laid out, and I could then kind of Barbie and Ken them together and say, well, now they're gonna kiss because of plots and reasons. And it's just a really fun way to break away from your own writing and to get involved in someone else's world and exercise your writing muscle without really wearing yourself out creating a whole backstory. It's a fun way to just break away and go play in someone else's world for a little bit. And slump busting tip number 5, write thank you notes. This is a way to fully disconnect from your writing and reconnect you to the real world and the real people in your life that matter. Taking a few minutes out of your writing schedule when you're just absolutely banging your head against the wall to express your gratitude for someone will not only make you feel better, it'll make the person who you give the thank you note to also feel better. And these tips are for nothing if not for making you feel better. Writing a thank you note is like a little breath of fresh air after being submerged in the murky recesses of your story. I hope these tips help you kick ass writing your next story. Any slump can be busted. Any writing rut that you're in can be broken out of. There's no such thing as writer's block. You just gotta try a different strategy. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I am looking for beta readers. If you would like to beta read with me, you can find me at sashakio.com. You can email me, sasha@sashakio.com. You can find me on social media. I've got lots of inboxes all over the place. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me talking about busting slumps. I'm grateful for your time. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best. Again, my name is Sasha Kio. This is the author journey. Maybe all Sashas are great. I don't know. Sasha Fierce? Just saying.